It is 6 o'clock exactly. I'm calling the meeting to order. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, which suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have meetings in a publicly accessible physical location due to the state of emergency due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded, and so that public can follow along to the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. The public can join the meeting remotely by the telephone number or the link that was provided in the agenda. And all supporting materials have been provided for the members of this board. And again, the public is encouraged to follow along at our posted agenda. As a preliminary matter, this is Mary DeCourcy, Chair of the Board of Trustees. Permit me to confirm the members and persons anticipated on our agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Matthew Toth.
Here.
Suzette Dowd.
Here.
Jennifer Shea.
Here.
And Paula will be absent tonight. Town employees participating, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jean Collins, Library Director.
Present.
Great, thank you. And please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So we will begin with the first item on the agenda. We'll talk about approval of the minutes from May 5th, 2021. If everybody could take a minute just to look it over and let me know if you have any corrections.
I've looked it over already, and I make a motion that we accept it.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, great.
Could I just make a mention?
Sure.
Just for clarification. It says Auburn Public Library updated provided by M. Toth. Anticipate an update in August and September. Is that supposed to be about the Friends? I'm not sure what that is.
Yes.
Are we talking about the agenda, Jean? I lost you. I lost my spot. What you're referring to?
Trustee business.
Okay, under trustee business.
Auburn so I think that must mean the Friends. I don't think it's the public library update. Just
no, right. That is the Friends.
Yes.
So Auburn Public Library updates to the BOT listing and roles of the Friends of the Auburn Library.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just add that?
Yep. Anything else, anybody?
So I'll switch my motion to amend it to adding under trustee business the first paragraph after the word roles of the Friends of the Auburn Public Library.
Thank you.
Thank you. The second item we have is the restructuring of the Board of Trustees following the May 18th election. So we need to decide what roles people want to play and be in agreement to that.
I'll make a motion for Mary DeCourcy to be the chair of the Auburn Public Library Board of Trustees.
Second. I second.
Okay, great. Do I have a motion for vice chair? I nominate Suzette Dowd to continue as the vice chair. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, great. Does somebody want to nominate Jen Shea for clerk?
Yes, I'll nominate Jen Shea for clerk.
Okay, great. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Very good.
I'll second.
Very good. And did I forget anything?
Yeah, we need to vote on those three.
That's right. Thank you very much. Okay, so can we go around and we'll do a roll call? So we're voting first for the chair. I'll accept the nomination as the chair of the Board of Trustees. Can I have a vote from Matt Toth?
Yes.
Suzette Dowd,
Yes.
Jennifer Shea.
Yes.
Okay, and I'll accept, as I said. We have a motion to continue having Suzette Dowd as our vice chair. Members, when I call your name, please respond, whether you affirmative or negative. Matt Toth,
Yes.
Suzette Dowd,
Okay.
Jennifer Shea,
Yes.
and I'll support that as well. And then finally, we're nominating Jennifer Shea to continue as our clerk. Can I start? I will say that I support that 100%. Matt Toth,
Yes.
very good. You vote a yes. Suzette Dowd,
Yes.
excellent. And you accept the nomination and vote yes, Jennifer?
Yes.
Excellent, very good. The next thing that we have, I visited Town Hall yesterday because moving forward, I wanted to discuss with the board, we've had, because of COVID, we've been using, GoToMeeting for our meetings. But moving forward, I wanted to sort of get feedback for whether we want to keep our meetings on Wednesday. What I would prefer is for us to have the meetings at Town Hall. And I met with Deb Grimo about that. She said we would need to determine as a team whether we want to live stream. So if we're going live, if we're going live or streaming, and whether or not, she said that Wednesday is very taken up by the Finance Committee and another committee. So she said if that's not available, would we consider taking Thursday? And then the third question is whether we want to continue online or whether we would like to meet live and be on television moving forward.
I have a couple of questions, Mary.
Sure.
Do you mean streaming like what currently is happening right now? Because technically live and streaming could be the same thing.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
a good
is
question.
Streaming
Those
what
will,
we're doing now, that they're recording it and they'll put it online. Is that what she's referring to? Is that your understanding?
it was my understanding, Jen, but I did not clarify with Deb. She said there's 2 rooms available at Town Hall. Which one would we prefer? I don't have a preference, again, because I've only been in the school committee meetings a few times. So I know that room, but I don't know the other room. And then she said streaming, which I assumed that she meant recording and playing later, but I didn't ask.
So I couldn't do Thursdays.
Okay.
Just my current work schedule would not allow that to work. I do also advise that we have to stick with what our schedule is. Technically, we are the first Wednesday of the month, and we've had a lot of changes of that date. So we need to be committed to it and recognize if we can't make it, we got to just wait till the next month.
Okay.
More often than not, because I feel like we get all over the place, and if we're going to be in a town hall space, which I have no problem with having the meeting there, so it can be recorded. I just think we need to be deliberate about our time and make sure that we commit to it. But again, I can make Thursdays work.
You said you could or you couldn't?
I cannot.
Okay, you cannot. Okay, very good. Anybody else about Wednesday, the time frame? Deb said the only guarantee she could give us would be a 4:30 start or a 5 start, but she was still up in the air because she reminded me that because of COVID, nobody's been meeting there. So she said, that I would have that information for the board and then we can determine later, but I just wanted to hear from other members of the board.
I could not make either of those times either, Mary. Sorry,
Okay.
Matt.
Maybe we can do streaming for a while until we can.
Maybe we should just continue with virtual meetings then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Because people travel in the summer, hopefully travel.
And we'll be televised anyway.
Want to do virtual?
So what-
Look back on the message from Julie, but I believe that after a certain date in June, you can no longer have virtual meetings. And I'm sorry, I don't have that message in front of me. I'll find that and forward it to you.
Very good. Yeah, Deb didn't say anything about that. And
That's
just
a
going
good point, Dean. I didn't think that the removal of the state of emergency, though, precluded us from doing this. I think, if anything, the pandemic says this has to be something we're able to do moving forward to ensure greater participation and flexibility. So I'd be kind of hard pressed to assume that the state of emergency says virtual meetings are no longer at all an option, but I don't know. So I think we need to figure that out, Mary, before we can make any determinations.
Okay.
Maybe you can check that out, Mary, and
I will.
talk to Julie. Okay.
Yeah.
Are any days good for you, Jen? Or
Yes.
What day would be good?
The 6 or 6:30 time frame, 6:30 preferably if we're meeting somewhere and we're in person.
Okay.
Thursdays are just often a late evening work meeting that I have, so other days work. If no one has taken the space now, I feel like it should be a first come, first serve on a Wednesday and not.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
But like a Tuesday could be feasible. I would vote against a Friday, and I would probably
I
not
want to do it on a Friday.
because of the Board of Selectmen meetings, but I don't know. So Tuesday could be an option, I guess.
Okay. So can I just hear from everybody
Okay.
else, because our times really, it were originally Wednesdays, the first Wednesday of every month from 6 to 7. We did adjust that a little to 6:30 to 7:30. Does anybody have a second preference in terms of, would Tuesday work if there was availability at Town Hall for our Tuesday meetings? Preferably for me, it would be the same thing. It would be, I agree with Jen. The only reason we've had to change the schedule, Jen, has been we haven't been able to have the information that we requested for the meeting. So, you know, I don't want everyone to come together just to meet. So, does anybody have any objection to a Tuesday?
Well, I would prefer to stay on Wednesday, and we used to have our meetings at 7 o'clock. Then
Okay.
we made them temporarily to 6:30, and then occasionally with a strategic plan around 6 o'clock. But for the most part, they were either 6:30 or 7.
Okay. So it sounds like, yep, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Matt. Go ahead.
That's right. And, you know, there's a slight possibility of Tuesday, but Wednesday is something that's already baked in pretty nicely for me.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I would not be able to do Thursdays.
Okay.
They could probably make. Can I ask why there's discussion about moving it from the library? Because as I'm concerned, I believe when they installed the new technology in the Mary Room, that we do have the option to live stream, same as Town Hall. So I'm not sure what the change of venue would be.
You know, Jean, that's my prompt, because I think that, you know, I think last year was a tough year that we had, and I was looking for just a reset. And I think sometimes having a reset at a different location, and it's not, you know, it doesn't feel like it's somebody's job site or there are patrons there when we're meeting. I thought it would be a nice way to start a new year. So that's coming from me. I'll take responsibility for that. Any more discussion on that?
Just a last comment, Jean, I know we talked about this pre-pandemic too, but I think the part of the issue was we had to have library staff be present. Not library staff, excuse me, town staff be present in order to record it. So just like we have ACTV, because I don't know who's hiding behind that today, here they were able to do that, and that led to scheduling pieces, and it was back to my original comment, can we get them there? So I think there's a lot of factors, and I think the virtual piece will determine what we can or can't do.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that you have to have someone regardless, even if you're having it at Town Hall, you still have to schedule somebody from cable.
Yes, but pre-pandemic, we didn't have the virtual option. We didn't have someone coming in here at times. That was a hurdle of could we do it, because we had changed our meeting times previously semi-last minute, in the sense that it was, oh, let's move 1 week here. That was a concern we had at that point. It may not be as big because of the virtual.
Fair. And again, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
No, I'm just thinking, we've only got 15 minutes left while we've got a quorum.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering, anything
Okay.
else?
Well, you know what? I went out of order. I apologize. The next thing that was supposed to precede the televised meeting question was, I sent everyone a charter change process. I sent you the whole law, the whole charter, and I highlighted section 15. And so I wanted to have a discussion. In past meetings, it's been discussed that because of the charter, the Board of Trustees has lost its ability to have input on the evaluation and the, you know, of the library director, and, you know, different aspects that were used to be the authority of the board was sort of taken away. And there were several meetings that we had that included the May meeting where the board expressed concern that we no longer have a function. So what I provided everyone with the charter, and I wanted to open it up for discussion, whether we have an interest in, Section 15 approaching, amending the charter, and what that would take would be agreeing upon that, what goals we would have in wanting to do that. And then there's a process where we would need to see the town clerk about 1,800 signatures out of the 12,000 registered voters in Auburn, which would be 15%. So I want to open it up to the team for discussion. I know an area that I'm very interested in is I really would like to be able to have input in terms of, board feedback to the director. I feel like we need, we saw the strategic plan. We talked about goals, but we know that goals are something that we would like to be able to have say in. And then I think the other piece was how do we advocate for financially in order to get the goals met and to support the director in that process. So I wanted to open it up to the board for discussion. And of course, Jean, you're welcome to be part of the discussion as well. Go ahead, Matt.
There's a little booklet that we got out, the trustee pocket guide here from the Library Board of Commissioners. And what I'm hoping is that we can restore the role of the Auburn Public Library Board of Trustees to that Chapter 78 in the Mass General Laws. And I'm going to send everybody a copy of this. I got a few copies a long time ago, and I just got discouraged, but I'm not. And what I hope
I could deliver them for you.
I'm sorry?
I don't mind driving around town and delivering them rather than mailing them.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm always talking about.
Thank you, Suzette.
The other thing, remember that we had this MBLC trustee handbook focus on emails. We got about 40, 50 emails in there, and that's another pretty good resource. When the town manager ever gets the material sent to us from town council, what I hope we can do is take a look at what information he has for us about changing that charter, and then we take a look at what's in this trustee manual and what we believe, because we've talked about our letters that were sent in January 6, 2020 to the town manager makes it pretty clear we're talking about the participation in the hiring, in the goal setting, and the evaluation policies. Policies such as the fact that we should be able to say the word librarian for people in libraries that we're not allowed to say now. Those kinds of things, policies that will help us be able to talk about those kinds of things without the library director still ought to have authority to run the library as he or she fit. But there ought to be a comfortable way where we're involved in those goals, all the things that we said in that January 6th letter to the town manager.
Okay.
I hope what we can do when we get that material is, even if we just have a subcommittee, but somehow a subcommittee doesn't require a quorum. So if we have 3 people or 2 people and we have the meeting posted, we can talk about it, and then whoever wants to work on it can, and then we have something ready instead of waiting. If we meet in July, the town manager said that before that meeting we'd have the materials. So it gives us a chance to set some areas for whoever wants to be a subcommittee, if that's what you decide to do.
Okay.
I think that makes any sense.
I'm not available the first week in July.
Okay.
I'll be in Wellfleet.
Oh, nice.
I'm leaving on the 3rd and coming back on the 11th.
So Suzette, do you have input in terms of what your position is in terms of us being able to?
I want it resumed to what we used to have before the charter was changed, before we had no input. I mean, like I said in an earlier meeting, I kind of feel like we have no charge.
Right.
We're disposable. We're not needed at all.
So I'm hearing from all of this, and I agree in the same piece that there's a motion to be made tied to, yes, we want to move forward with a charter change process to restore involvement of the board in the process of library hiring, goal setting, evaluation, and broad policy making, but also create a subcommittee to prepare information on that charter change and those goals for our next or subsequent meetings. Is that valid on both sides?
I'm in agreement. Well said.
All right, well then I make a motion that we move forward with a change to the charter petition, whatever.
I make a motion that we do what you just said.
So what I think I understood is Jennifer made a motion. Suzette, did you second that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Can I go through, can I just do a quick roll call for whether or not your affirmative vote? Matt Toth?
Yes.
Suzette, I know that you motioned, but just affirmative. Jennifer Shea?
Yes.
And I'm in agreement. Okay. Very good. So we will move forward, and I will get that. I will move forward. I'll meet with Deb Grimo and see what we need to do. And again, going back to the schedule, I know that Julie sent an email last week, and she said that she would like to be able to make that the town council's information available to us. So we will. I would like to meet the first Wednesday in July if we can. Can people make, well, you just said, Suzette, you can't. Is that right? Okay. And can we say, I believe, sorry?
I can't make that week. The first week would be July 7th.
Okay. Should we meet without Suzette, or would the board like to meet July 14th instead?
Jen, can you meet on the 14th?
That one's tentative at the moment. I might be able to. I can't commit there. I have the 7th marked as the date,
okay.
But
Okay.
it's important that we determine the virtual nature or the in-person before we go from there. So once you know if we can actually have virtual or not, it might make a difference for Paula, who's not here at the moment on her schedule.
I think that, I mean, I want to support the, the pleasure of the board, but I think that if we stay with virtual for now, just because it would be logistically a little challenging to figure out the meeting time, the place, can we just commit to meeting? How many people can make it on July 7th?
Gary, my point was, Jean's comment was accurate. The state of emergency is no longer in effect at some point in this month of June. And if that does mean virtual meetings are no longer an option, we have to have it in person. So I think we need to determine that first, and then we have more flexibility.
Okay. So can we say, sorry, I misunderstood. So can we meet on the 7th? How many people can make it on the 7th? And that's a yes. Okay. And so it sounds like what it would be likely if we're set up to video at the library. That's an option, Jean?
I have to check with Chris Hugo.
Okay.
We don't run the equipment, so I'm not sure. I know that there's capability and there's some portable units that I think he could bring, but it depends on if somebody else is using it, if it's a Wednesday.
Okay.
I can't say for sure.
I did check in with Chris and Deb yesterday, and again, as I expressed in the beginning of the meeting, it seemed to be up in the air, but I agree with Jen's statement, which is if we have this firm meeting and nobody else is committed yet, I'm going to follow through tomorrow and see if we can firm up. Preferably, it would be great if it was town hall, one of the rooms, and we'll say from 6 to 7 on July 7th. Is that okay?
Can we get back to 6:30, Mary?
Yep. Absolutely. I'm okay with it. All right, very good. The last thing before Does anybody have anything else on that? Oh, the next thing on the item was evening and weekend hours. Suzette, you had a question, and I read the director's report that was kind of addressed, but did you have further questions about evening hours and weekend hours?
Right. It says no patrons have issues or concerned about the hours. I've had 3 people call me and say, when are they going to open on Saturdays and when are they going to open after 6? Because people don't get out of work. They haven't been able to go to the library in, what is it,
Well,
18 months?
Had questions, but nothing. If you can certainly send them to me. We've had questions, but not necessarily concerns. I can tell you that after 5 o'clock, there's really rarely anybody even in the library after 5 o'clock. But, and most libraries aren't open at all.
There wasn't anybody there at 3.
Pardon me?
Sorry.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't hear.
There wasn't anybody there at 3. I was there today too.
It's been,
Okay.
you know,
But I
steady,
think all the people who work can't go to the library except on Thursday evening until 8. But if they're
Right.
busy on a Thursday evening, then they don't have
We can't
access,
open
really.
100% overnight. Even the MBLC is not requiring hours of operation to be back to normal for at least 3 months. And most
Well,
libraries aren't even open on
suggesting-
Saturday. But beginning in July, we will be every other Saturday from 9 to 12.
And
And
is there
Only transition
reason for
Thursdays.
every other Saturday instead of every Saturday?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is there any reason for not having every Saturday?
Right now, there are staffing issues, and we're just still ramping up with everything. And I don't see the need. If we see the need, then we could potentially change that. So right now, it's for July. I'll monitor that and see.
You know, it's interesting. You want somebody to call you if they have a concern. Well, if they tell us, isn't that good enough?
I'd like to be able to discuss with people what it is that they are interested in, because as I said during the shutdown, there wasn't anything that we couldn't help people with in a different way. I'd like to talk to people directly to see what it is that they are. A lot of times there's something else we can do. We can't ramp up from 0 to 100 overnight. We're doing a lot, still in the middle of a lot of, you know, major projects. I feel like this does meet the needs of the patrons at this point, but obviously I will monitor that. And if it looks different and we can manage it, then we'll extend it.
Now, is there still the 15-minute time limit on time in the library?
No.
Okay.
There's no limit on the time now? That's good.
There ought to be something that the Board of Trustees has to say about things that doesn't require us to simply say to a patron, oh, just call the director of the library and discuss your concern. Well, it ought to be enough
do that.
to tell you that you may not believe there's something going on, but some of us hear things and we're just telling you that. You don't have to do anything about it, but we're at least telling you. That's at least a little bit of our role.
Yeah, I think I brought up at the last meeting, I'm very interested in needs assessments. So would you be interested at all, Jean, in or invested in finding out, even if it's for somebody to fill it out when they come in, if they, you know, if they're happy with the hours, just so they can give you feedback, you know, so you can get some feedback. Because I would have to say, I agree. I'm out and about in the community, and people, when they know we're on the Board of Trustees, they share things with us that they might not share them with you. And I think as a team, we want everyone to feel free to share with you. And I think maybe a neutral way to do that would be if people are just filling things out, any comments, and they wouldn't be pressured to talk about it at that spot. But if they want to leave a number, you could follow up with a phone call. I know I talked about it in the last meeting, and I wondered if you gave it any thought.
I always have an ongoing list, and these things that I discussed with Julie, and they're part of the goals, and certainly some assessment and surveys are in the future. It's a 5-year, it's a yearly goal. We're just coming out of a pandemic where everything was upside down, and we need time to back up with that. So we've made a lot of changes inside the library, and we still have to rebuild staffing positions and so forth. So it's not that we're not concerned about these things. Again, most libraries, a great number of them are not back up to their hours, and the MBLC is not requiring it. A lot of them don't have summer hours on Saturday anyways, and a lot of them, more of them aren't having them. So I feel like we're actually more than most libraries at this point.
Okay, thank you. Jen, I know that you have to say goodbye, but we just want to thank you for being here. 6:30 on the nose. Good timing. Thank you again. We'll see you in July. So any other commentary, team, on the library hours before we move to Matt's question, the question about the status of the 501c3?
Mary?
Yeah?
I think we can't do any voting or anything, any deliberation now. We don't have a quorum.
Okay.
I can
All
just
right.
tell you, but this is because there's no deliberation, that Phil has not heard anything yet, but it really is more August, September. That'd be about the 6-month time from when it was submitted.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I just, as an aside, it's not on the agenda, but at the last meeting, we talked about whether or not we want to get feedback from the high school, from the students about their use of the library. The board decided that the kids have been pretty much overly taxed with being online, and it wouldn't be a good idea. So today I sent an email to Dr. Hanfield, just thanking him for doing a great job during this tough pandemic, and for his generosity of being willing to find out the kids, to survey the students. Sorry. And I just wanted to let you know that I followed through with that, and again, he was nothing but gracious. So the last items that we have on the agenda, Jean, if you don't mind, reporting out the director's report and the review of the bill schedule and state funds.
So you all have copies, I'm assuming. Some under services and resources, just a couple of things that are sort of ongoing. I have been pursuing what we might like to do with an online book club, and I'm in touch with a company.
Did you talk to Roseland, who's in charge of the book club? Because the book club is planning to meet.
I've spoken with Greg a couple of times.
Okay.
With Rose?
Yes.
Okay. Because, I mean, we've been running our own book club for 20 years. I don't think we need an online book club for adults. Maybe, I think it's a great idea for the YAs, but not us.
Well, one thing that I'm certainly planning to do as part of my goals in the 5 years is outreach to people who don't come into the library. And that's one way to do that with an online book club. So I feel like it's worth pursuing. Not everybody can come to an evening book club or wants to. A lot more people during the pandemic resorted to online reading. And I think that's definitely a good avenue to pursue. We don't know that until we try it. So I'm in discussion. It wouldn't have any impact. Probably.
Would they be reading the same books as the book club that's already?
Well, no.
No. The library, no.
Like I said, I'll give you a better update maybe in July, but this one is because it's online, all the books are online, although they can request them in print. They actually have access to a lot of new bestsellers. So you don't have to wait until 20 libraries have a book to loan your library for a book club. So there's definitely some advantages to it. So
first meeting in September, everybody's getting their own book.
That's fine. We try to help when you want to.
Just so you know, you don't have to worry about that.
I like the idea, Suzette, of, it's awesome that there's been that book club for so long. But I agree with Jean. I feel like if we can open up another option for people who don't come into the library, that would be
that would just want to make sure we lose in that spot.
Yeah. And I love, Jean, my politics on kids, teenagers. I love the idea of having something virtually for the kids.
Yeah, I think that will be good too, because a lot of them will want to come, but they might be interested in coming and not showing their face, and then showing it after a while, figure out who's there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Good option.
Yep. Very good. Thank you, Jean. Go ahead.
So the Weeding Up project update, we're still working on that. Feels like 24/7. It's a very, very big project. We thought we would have a little bit longer to finish, but then all of a sudden all the restrictions were limited and so people could come back in. So we continue to do that. And we have made some great progress with it. And certainly in the children's room where right now we weeded probably about half of the chapter books a lot of things that had been on the shelf for 20 years.
Mhm.
And so we've also purchased hundreds of new ones. So once we weed those and recover what we're keeping and sort of freshen the whole thing up, then we'll be adding all of those new ones in too. So
Right.
we're definitely working hard at that. And we've also, now that we've got things more or less in place where they're going to be, we've added some signage. We'll continue to add signage in the children's room, and as we reorganize and have everything where it's going to be, we'll have more signage. Hours of operation we already talked about. We did have a couple of toddler programs outside, and they went very well. I gave you some pictures. It's a tremendous amount of work to bring the sound equipment and all the seating and all the materials and everything outside. But they were very successful, and we would have continued that. But then all of a sudden, restrictions were limited, and then it turned to be 90 degrees. So obviously, we can't have anything outside when it's 90 degrees, or when it's windy, or if it's rainy, or there's a lot of pollen in the air. So today we had our first one back inside, and it went very well. So I'm planning to introduce more programs, you know, as we can. This month in particular, there's always somebody on vacation besides, because it's almost the end of the year, so we are pretty short-staffed. But we're planning them. We did have Wingmasters last week. We had that inside because it was very hot outside, and fortunately, the size of the crowd worked out really well, and we had that inside. And I've got some pictures here for it too. The next 2 Saturdays, we have a virtual program on gardening. She does a really beautiful job, so I just I posted that today, so that's virtual online, so maybe some of you would want to weigh in on that one.
Can I interrupt for 1 minute?
Yep.
I noticed on the bill schedule that she got paid on May 10th before the program.
That's when she doesn't have the check yet. That's when the check was sent up on the bill.
All right.
Okay.
I said, oh God, what if she didn't show, or what if it got canceled? Or
You know, every 2
Okay.
months, always a timeline, and since she's not coming to the library, I have to mail it in time too. So
Okay.
no, she paid that. Yes.
great.
ARIS workshops. ARIS is again going to be different than it was the last 2 years. So I'll be going to a webinar to figure out. There's so many different ways now of describing services and how the format's going to be. So I will be attending a webinar to make sure that I understand what it is they're asking for. And there was a donation from the Massard family of $50 for us for pizza, and so
That's
we
neat.
accepted that. Somebody has
It was very nice of them.
questions about the bill schedule? Normally, I just kind of.
Jean, can I just jump in? I just want to thank you for, I love the pictures. You know, you're very good about, in the director's report, including pictures, and I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Could we ask any bill schedule questions next time?
I'm sorry?
Ask any bill schedule questions next time instead of going over those tonight.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't mean, in case anybody else has something, that's the one thing I didn't do anything on. I did some other stuff, but I didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, Suzette, I didn't, or Mary, I didn't mean to cut off.
No, of course not. But does anybody else have anything that you want? Because are you saying, what I understand you saying is,
I
so we
wanted
can
to know
fund the
what Freenet
conversation.
was.
Sorry,
I
Suzette?
never heard of that one.
Freenet is
Freenet
our
on page 1.
Freenet
what
is
is
our
it?
magazine subscriptions.
Oh, subscriptions. Okay.
Magazine
I just didn't recognize it, and I said $654.
That's actually a lot less than it used to be because I didn't replace nearly as many. A lot of subscriptions, actually, a lot of magazines just sort of folded, or they merged with others. And right now we have a space limitation, and there aren't enough people. So we're kind of ramping that slowly, but that's what that is. So we're just now getting their subscriptions back for the print.
One more quick question about UB
Go ahead.
Mason.
Yep.
$79. What the heck are we buying from them? Furniture?
Stephen Mason's, a lot of our labels and sort of office type equipment things that we need. A lot of tape, gosh, I'm drawing a blank. A lot of those kinds of things that we need to process materials, and just it's an office, so that's where we get W. Mason. Cardstock, paper, and paper. Right, paper.
Is that like something we order only once a year? Because I mean, that's almost $900 worth of office supplies.
Which one are you looking at? I'm sorry. And that's
I'm
probably
looking at 25th month to the 21st to the 25th. It says W.B. Mason, $879.90.
Sorry, I'm not finding the right page.
It's the last. It's
It was
the
probably-
last page, the first section.
Oh, okay. So that was CARES Act information. I mean, materials, I believe. So stanchions, things like that. That's were supported by the CARES Act extension, and I believe that was for stanchions. I can check that for you and get back to you.
Okay. Just because, you know.
So Jean, I mean, not Jean, sorry, Suzette. So is your question regarding, you know, I'm sort of expanding on the question. Are you asking like how much a year the library is spending on those things?
Is this like a once a year get all your office supplies?
Okay.
Or is this like
not what-
an ongoing?
Yeah, no, that's not what this is. This isn't from an appropriations account. This looks,
Okay.
I believe this is a CARES Act extension account. So that would have been something that was approved by the finance office to help support different operations during COVID. So
Okay.
a lot of PPE, those kinds of things came from there.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
How about Whaley Computer Associates? $3,648 on page 1, June 7th.
Yep.
Page
So that
1.
was for some new circulation desk computers.
Oh,
And that came from a capital account.
good. Okay, that's all my questions.
You're on point today. You're thorough, Suzette. Matt, I'm going to turn over to you. Yeah, so that's all I have unless anybody has anything else.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I heard Suzette made a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
And
Who's got the second?
Second, yeah.
Okay, so we are adjourning at 6:43 p.m. and we're going to meet again. Our next meeting will be July 7th the only thing I'm a little foggy about was it 6 p.m. or 6:30?
30.
6:30.
Wrote it
Okay.
down.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So July 7th at 6:30. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Mary.
Jean.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Appreciate
you.
you. Bye now.